Welcome to the Review Journal Sports Betting Spotlight on college football. We're here at the beautiful, newly redesigned Wynn Sportsbook at Wynn, Las Vegas, with a handicapper Kelly Stewart at Kelly in Vegas, and Sportsbook Director at the Wynn, Johnny Avello. Thanks for joining me, guys. I'm going to give you 3 picks each in college football for this week, including our best bet. Kelly, who's your first 2 plays?
We're starting off with Oklahoma State. I know I don't bet favorites too often. Johnny also reminded me this game opened at 12.5. Sharp guys bet it down. Now they're coming back on the other side. I agree with him here. I think this Oklahoma State team, last week's loss to TCU was rather fraudulent. 4 turnovers. It was just a bad game against a TCU team that I think most of us didn't have rated as high as they should have been. So I'm just going to kind of pretend that really didn't happen and look at this Texas Tech team that I think people are way too high on. They beat a Houston team last week as 6-point dogs. I'm not buying it. Next bet is going to be K-State minus 17.
That's a shocker.
No, listen to me here. Hear me out.
You're a K-State girl, right?
I know. I always have to say that. I'm a K-State fan. Okay, this one opened up 14. Everybody's agreeing with me. It's up to 17. Baylor looked competitive, relatively, so to speak, against Oklahoma last week. Don't buy it. If you look at the stat chart, the numbers are way off. I don't even know what happened in that game. I'll just be happy that Baylor covered because they're not going to do it this week. K-State off a loss to an SEC school and a bye. Bill Snyder has his team prepared.
I like that one as well. Johnny, who are your first 2 plays?
Well, my first play is NC State minus 12. Opened up 13.5, now down to 12. The quarterback for NC State, Ryan Finley, this kid's a solid quarterback. So far, 8 TD passes, no picks. Team's got a good rushing game. They spread it around on the receiver side. Not the greatest home field advantage team over the years, but this is really one of their better teams in a long time. Second pick. Don't ask me how I went here, guys. UNLV. I usually stay away from UNLV, but they're 13. We opened this game 9.5. It's up to 13. The home field advantage has never meant that much for UNLV, but when I look at San Jose State, they allowed 61 points to Utah State, 54 points to Utah, 56 points to Texas. Anybody with a ground game has actually buried them.
I like that pick as well. I like K-State as well, and they lost to Vanderbilt, and that's one of my plays. Vanderbilt plus 10 against Florida. Their defense got shredded by Alabama last week, 59-0. But I think Florida has struggled a lot on offense this year, and I just think Vanderbilt's going to be able to keep it close with the Gators and cover the spread. I don't see them winning, but I think they'll keep it close. I also like Washington State, the Friday night game against USC. They're getting 3.5. As Kelly likes to say, the PTHD, the primetime home dog. Go with them and you'll avoid PTSD, hopefully. and it's a short week for USC. Their defense is banged up. Their pass defense has been really bad. They're giving up 600 yards the last 2 weeks. And Washington State is one of the top pass offenses in the country. So Washington State's my second play. Now we'll go to our best bets. And Kelly, what's your best bet for college football?
You know, go figure. I like a live dog in Virginia Tech. I usually try not to bet really big primetime games unless I like the dog, and this is the case here. Clemson, this team is so strange. Everybody has them going back to the 4-team college football playoff. But I'm not sold on Kelly Bryant. This kid is Deshaun Watson's backup. Offensively, I trust Dabo Swinney. I understand the talent that he has, but they are 1-4 in their last 5 trips to Blacksburg, against the number, obviously. You know, this is just a team that, again, I'm not buying. I'm not so sold on it. I really like what Justin Fuente's done with this Virginia Tech team, and I'm going to take the better defense plus the points here. They've only allowed 41 points in their first 4 games this season, and I think they keep it up.
That's another primetime home dog for you.
And they're the primetime home dog.
Johnny, who's your best bet?
My best bet is Iowa State plus 3.5 at Michigan State. We opened this game 2.5. We're up to 3.5. Iowa's 3-1. The notable games are they won at Iowa State, who's 2-1, averaging about 40 points a game. The loss to Penn State, who I think is one of the better teams in the country. You got a quarterback like McSorley and Saquon Barkley. That's a tough group to handle. The quarterback for Iowa State is a kid named Nathan Stanley. He is the top quarterback in the Big Ten, arguably the top 10. So I think, the offense is there. Now, on the Michigan State side, their quarterback's name is Brian Lewerke. I like him. He's a smart kid. I've seen some interviews with him. But he's also the top rusher for the team. So, top rusher for the team. Iowa shuts down teams just like this, pretty much one-dimensional. I like them in a really tight, low-scoring game. I see a 17-14, no-scoring game. 3.5's worth the bargain.
Yeah, I like that one as well. Notre Dame, went in there and beat up the Spartans pretty good last week. And Johnny, I'm glad you went with UNLV. I have them written down as my best bet. I was a little hesitant, but makes me feel better about it. I'm going with the Rebels as my best bet at home against San Jose State for many of the things Johnny mentioned. And pretty much, San Jose State's one of the worst teams in college football, if not the worst. As you mentioned, they just lost 61-10 at home to Utah State. Enough said. That's our spotlight on college football.